The air in the warehouse isn't just thick, it's stagnant, smelling of rusted iron and a fear so sharp it tastes like copper. Brutus, a man who stands 6'5" and has spent a decade breaking bones, is whimpering. He scrambles backward, his heavy boots kicking up plumes of grey dust, his eyes blown wide, reflecting the erratic beam of his fallen flashlight. In the crushing darkness beyond the light, something is moving. It's not the sound of a human step. It's a rhythmic, dry shh. The sound of heavy scales dragging across cold concrete. It's coming from the floor, from the rafters, from
stay
the
back!
very walls. No, stay back, he stammers, his voice cracking like a child's. You're just a girl, you're just a ghost. Suddenly, the shadows don't just shift, they open. A pair of luminous, amber, reptilian eyes ignite in the pitch black. The pupils are vertical slits, vibrating with a cold, ancient hunger. Then the shadows coil and strike. Brutus doesn't even have time to scream.
They think they are the masters of the dark. They think a girl is just a product to be sold, a spirit to be broken. But they forgot the old stories. They forgot that some bloodlines don't just carry memories, they carry monsters. And it all started the day they trafficked the wrong girl. My name was Elara. Back in my village, nestled in the green, rolling hills, where the earth is the color of sunset, they whispered about my family. They said we were the keepers of the coiled one. On my collarbone sat a faint obsidian-colored birthmark, a serpent biting its own tail. My grandmother told me it was a seal, a promise of protection. I thought it was just a story. I wanted more than stories. I wanted the city, the place where the light supposedly never went out and the money flowed like the great river. That's when she appeared, Madame Gold. She didn't look like a monster. She looked like a goddess in yellow silk. Her gold jewelry clinked with every step, a sound like 1,000 tiny bells. She spoke of workshops and shining futures. She saw the ambition in my eyes and fed it like a flickering flame. My family felt the wrongness in the wind, but I was blinded by the gold on her wrists. I followed her into the belly of the beast, leaving my village and my protection behind. Or so I thought. The city wasn't gold. It was grey. The workshop was a windowless tomb where the sun was a memory and the only currency was sweat and blood. Madame Gold would walk through the rows of sewing machines, her heels clicking like a predator's heartbeat. One day, I saw her strike a younger girl for crying. I didn't think, I moved. I grabbed Madame Gold's wrist. She didn't flinch. She just looked at me with eyes as cold as a dead fish. In this city, Elara, she whispered, her breath smelling of expensive clothes and rot. A girl is just another piece of fabric to be cut and sold, and you're a frayed thread. They dragged me to the cellar, a damp black hole beneath the warehouse floor. Brutus slammed the heavy iron door, and for 3 days there was nothing but the dark and the sound of my own failing breath. But as my body withered, the mark on my collarbone began to burn. It wasn't a physical heat, it was an ancient, icy fire. I saw my ancestors, huge, shimmering pythons moving through the tall grass of a world before time. They weren't just protecting me, they were waiting for me to wake up. The seal was broken. The girl was dying, but the serpent was rising. When they finally opened the door, they expected to find the corpse. Instead, they found me standing. My skin was gaunt, but it felt different, denser. When the guards shoved me, I didn't stumble. I moved with a fluid, liquid grace that made their hair stand on end. I didn't run. Why would I? You don't run when you finally realized you are the apex predator in the room. I began to see the world in vibrations. I could taste the guard's fear on the back of my tongue. I could hear the mice in the walls. And more importantly, I could call to the things that crawled in the cracks. I spent my days as a broken girl, but my nights were spent whispering to the shadows. I watched Madame Gold's empire. I learned her secrets. I was no longer Elara, the villager. I was the consequence.
Brutus was first. He liked the dark because it hid his crimes, so I gave him a darkness he couldn't survive. I didn't touch him, I simply commanded the shadows to become solid. When he saw the carpet of snakes, thousands of them, summoned from the city's sewers and the warehouse cracks, he lost his mind before they even reached his boots. Next was Mr. Silas, the man who turned our lies into numbers. He sat in his locked office, feeling safe. I sent a single black mamba, not a real one, but a manifestation of my shadow, through the keyhole. It didn't bite him, it just sat on his desk and watched him with my eyes. He was found the next morning, his head turned white, clutching the hidden ledgers that would eventually lead the police to Madame Gold's front door. I was dismantling her world brick by brick, and she knew it. She could feel the cold coiling around her throat. The final confrontation happened in her office. The gold decor was tarnished by the dust of her crumbling empire. She held a gun, her hand shaking so hard the gold bracelets rattled like a death knell. "What are you?" she shrieked. I stepped into the light. My eyes were full amber now, the pupils vertical and focused. The skin on my arms shimmered with iridescent obsidian scales. "I am the daughter of the keepers," I said, my voice sounding like two stones grinding together. "And you are just prey." The lights died. I unleashed it all. The shadows in the room manifested into massive spectral serpents that filled the space, their bodies made of smoke and cold light. They didn't tear her flesh, they tore her mind. I forced her to live every second of the pain she had sold. She saw the faces of every girl she'd broken, felt their hunger, their cold, their despair. When the police finally arrived, they found a woman who could no longer speak, her eyes fixed on the ceiling, terrified of a shadow that wasn't there. The warehouse is empty now. The girls have gone home or to better lives. They talk about a spirit that guards the city's forgotten corners, a serpent of justice that haunts those who hunt the innocent. They trafficked the wrong girl. They thought they bought a slave, but they invited an ancient goddess into their house. Now I walk the shadows of the city. My name is Elara, and I am the reason the predators are finally afraid of the dark. Subscribe and turn on notifications, because in this world, some legends aren't just stories, they are warnings.
And that, my friend, is the story of Elara. A young woman from a village in the hills, full of dreams and ambition, lured away from her protection by the glitter of false gold, sold, caged, broken, or so they thought. Because what Madame Gold and her empire of evil did not know, what they could never have prepared for, was that when you cage the wrong girl, you don't break her spirit. You wake up something ancient that was sleeping inside her. Elara didn't just escape, she became the consequence. And one by one, every person who profited from her pain paid a price that no amount of money could ever buy back. Now, before we go, let's take the wisdom from this story, because our African legends never just entertain, they always teach. First, your origin is not your limitation. Elara came from a village. They called her a frayed thread, but her roots ran deeper than any of them knew. Second, darkness is not the enemy's territory alone. The traffickers thought the dark was their weapon. Elara proved that the dark belongs to whoever is brave enough to become one with it. And third, some bloodlines carry more than memory. Know where you come from, know your family's story, because the protection your ancestors built for you may be the very thing that saves your life when everything else fails. If this story moved you, if Elara's journey gave you chills, gave you strength, or reminded you of just how powerful African storytelling really is, then do something powerful in return. Like this video. It tells the algorithm that our stories matter. Leave a comment. Tell me which moment hit you the hardest. Was it when Elara stood up in that cellar? Was it when the shadows swallowed Brutus? Or was it that final image of her standing on that rooftop, her shadow a serpent, the whole city spread before her like a hunting ground? I want to know. And share this video with someone who needs to be reminded that they too carry something ancient and unbreakable inside them. Subscribe and turn on notifications because Elara is just the beginning. We have a whole world of African legends waiting to be told. Warriors, spirits, tricksters, gods, and every single one of them has something to teach us. This is African Legends Love, where the old stories live again. I will see you in the next legend. Stay rooted, stay protected, and never forget, some bloodlines don't just carry memories, they carry monsters.